So now that we've gone through the basics of book cover design, I'm just going to show you a few more things to kind of wrap your head around what makes good design and bad design. It's kind of hard to recognize good versus bad unless you really know what you're looking for. So I'm going to go through some comparisons and some remakes. Your book cover, again, it's really just something to grab attention from far away. You just see it. It's got to hook your attention just enough for you to click on it or pick it up and turn it over and find out more about the book. So you don't really have to have all the text be visible from far away or easy to read, all the title text, all the author text. It's mostly just about the impact the whole thing makes and whether it's recognizable, just enough to catch your attention and to tell you a little bit about the book. So these are common mistakes that you'll see in amateur or unprofessional book covers. The first is just badly used drop shadow or bevel. Bevel is that 3D effect. It can be used well, but it's not easy to pull off, and it's usually what beginner designers will do if they can't figure out how to make the text stand out because they haven't put it in a place where there's natural contrast with the background. Then they'll put a heavy drop shadow and a bevel so that the text stands out and kind of jumps out. But it looks not great because really you're just pasting the text on top of the art, and you really want the text to be fluid and part of the artwork. It doesn't have to stand out so clearly. It's actually better usually if the text is a little bit subtle or there's places in the where it meets with the background art where it's not quite as visible or clear. That's all right. Your brain is actually pretty clever, and it'll be able to pick up what the title is and what the letters are, even if they're not all totally clear. Another common mistake is not enough spacing between or around the letters, which is also called kerning. Kerning is just the space between the letters. Another mistake is author name versus series branding. Sometimes you can't, and this is together with 4, you can't emphasize everything, and you got to figure out, do you want people to notice your title or your author name or your series? Usually it's the thing that's most famous. So if you're not famous yet, focus on the title, make the title the biggest thing. That's what you want people to see. The rest, your author name, the series branding can be much, much smaller. But if you are already famous and your author name is the thing that people will recognize, like some thriller authors, you'll see that they have their author name really big because the author name is more recognizable than the new title. So the title will be much smaller because people buy it for the author, not for the title. And for series, you usually just want your series really small, very, very little on top or under the title. You don't want, Harry Potter is a series name, but it's also part of the title, like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. They chose not to go with the Harry Potter series, book 1, book 2, book 3, but it's almost always better to keep the series branding small and just use the style of the book cover to link your books together. Also, book award seals. You can't... it's nice if you win book awards. It's nice to be able to put it on the book cover, but most book award seals actually aren't designed very well. There are a few that are, and you can get stickers and put them on your book, and they might look pretty good. But if you win some award and you're putting a seal on the book cover, it's usually going to throw off the design, and because your book cover is not really trying to sell, it's not giving all the cognitive reasons to buy the book, it's just giving kind of the first impression. It can actually be distracting, and the book awards are really like an extra reason. After you've already caught their attention and they're reading the material or the summary, that's when you give the awards and the extra information. So, it's just something that's a little risky because I've seen especially book covers who they'll put 2 or 3 book award seals on the cover and just kind of ruin the cover art. So then all you see is the book award seals and it's too distracting. So you're actually losing the efficacy of the book cover. And then also designing for thumbnail view. A lot of indie authors will say the thumbnail view is the most important and that you really have to have huge text and it has to be super clear and legible from the thumbnail. That's mostly not true. Your book has to look professional as a thumbnail, and you can tell even as a thumbnail if it's professionally made or not. But whether or not you can read all the subtext is much less important. And what you don't want to happen is have the thumbnail really, really clear and huge text, but then when you click on it and you get the actual book cover, it just looks ugly because you designed for thumbnail view rather than for the regular ordinary view. And the ordinary view is really important also. This is a sample I made of a ugly book cover. And you have, Amazon #1 bestseller with lots of exclamation points, really bad text, bad drop shadow. There's a crop. This is just Rage Italic, I think, or it might be Mistral. Those are two commonly used but terrible fonts. And then just a lot of seals. And like one of these could be okay, but especially if you're a finalist or if you're a silver winner, those aren't really that great anyway. You really want to be a #1 winner or the gold or the first place. If you're just a finalist or a silver, it's not that impressive. And unless they know these particular book awards, it's not really going to make a difference. It could make a difference if they've already clicked on your cover, if they're already reading the description, and then it's just one extra piece of information. That might push them over the edge to buy. But having it on your cover is probably a mistake. And so just to compare a couple, this is one of my favorite covers by Dean Koontz. It's Deeply Odd. And you have, this is really common for a book cover is to have this vignette where it's darker around the edges. You have a really strong contrast between the yellow and the blue. You have one scene with one figure from the back, and the scene is kind of blended out into the stars. That works really well. This is something that's really similar, but actually not done quite as well. This part down here is not so bad. It's good to have contrast between serif fonts and the sans serif for the smaller text, but there's another sans serif font up here, which is a little bit different. So then you've got kind of too many things going on between these three. These two are the same. This is probably Trigen Pro. And the main thing I don't like about it is just here the text is really kind of crammed together. It doesn't have this nice spacing. And also there's the drop shadow behind the author because they were afraid that this this white text would blend in with the white sky and you wouldn't be able to read it so much. It would have been better without a drop shadow. And it's interesting because this cover by Kelly Armstrong, they actually redid it and they made some new versions which are different but stronger. This one, there's still some mistakes, I think. Mostly just that you don't really need this series or whatever this is down here. It might be a publishing imprint. And also this one looks nice, but I would have put it probably up here at the top like this. And the quote is nice, but it's still pretty busy. It's not as nice as the Dean Koontz cover.